What's going on, Atlanta Falcons excited fans, man? It is a joy to be here today, man, doing this video with you, JR, man. And I'm excited, man. I never would have thought if you'd have told me that we'd be in first place 8 weeks into the season, that it would actually be true. And I'm just gonna be honest and admit that now, man. What's going on with
Dude, I'm right there with you. In all honesty, like I said, I was saying it all off season, in part to make sure that my expectations didn't get out of whack. Um, because the previous year I kind of let them go a little wilder than I probably should have. So I made sure that this off season to try to keep things more framed in a um, more realistic nature. And given like really examining the roster that we have, doing the work that we did in run up to the draft really helped me um, put that into a good perspective. And I just thought to myself, I was like, man, if we can just be competitive. The example that we used was the Lions of last year.
you? Right.
They seemed like they were in every game. They were hard fought. Now it hasn't had such a great success for them. It hasn't turned into great success, but that was kind of the model that we were looking at. It's like, man, if we could just be that, in this second year of Arthur Smith, that would be great. Well, we've been that and more. Um,
Yeah.
like like this year, like we're midway through the season. Like you said, we're 8-8. We're 8 weeks in. We're 4-4. We're first in the NFC South, and for all the naysayers out there, oh well, the rest of the NFC South is in shambles. That's not our fault. Like we
Nope.
can't we can't control how the rest of the NFC South is performing. We can only control how we're performing, and
Hmm.
like we're not just beating bottom feeders like we were last year. Last year the wins that we had, the 7 wins that we had, came against teams, none of them that had winning records or good records.
Right.
This year so far, you've beaten two of the better teams in the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. You beat
Right.
right, and like Seattle's on a tear right now,
Yep.
and you were able to handle them. Um, you were able to really put it on them. Now you let it slip away in the fourth, but you were able to put it on a really um, full strength Saints team right out the gate. And
Hmm.
the way I'm going to choose to look at it is you started the downfall of the Tampa Bay Bucks,
Right.
because like it took the refs intervening, and stopping that momentum, but you probably would have come away with that win. So
Yeah.
you've had some good wins this year. Um, and that's something that has really opened my eyes in the wins that you had and the way that you have won.
Right. Right. I mean, you're winning pivotal games that you normally didn't get last year. We had a chance to give ourselves an opportunity to at least be the 7th seed when we went up to San Francisco and we got mollywopped,
Right.
right?
Right.
We had a chance to maybe stay in it if we beat Buffalo Bills. We got mollywopped up there. This year has been in reverse in the first 8 games, whereas you didn't beat San Francisco last year. You beat them this year. And now you give yourself a two-way goal to not only have first place by beating the Carolina Panthers, who was also fighting for that spot with you, who gave that game to it. Let's just be honest. But we
Yeah,
will take gifts because we take charity as well over here.
that's right.
But you're now winning those games where they really meant something and mean something to you moving forward as opposed to what they were last year. Now, if you was to manage to get the 7 seed, say you and San Francisco 49ers is vying for that 7th spot, guess who gets in? You
Right.
do,
Right.
because you hold a tiebreaker over them.
And that's definitely something to consider. And like at this junction, I will fully admit that I'm still not necessarily expecting playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm expecting, a lot of teams have, um, like they're starting out real slow,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of imagining like a team like Green Bay kind of eventually gets going. Maybe I'm just used to them being, in the mix and not necessarily accepting that that they're fully out of, and kind of the same deal with the Bucks in a sense. They're very banged up, and then you have the personal stuff going on with Brady. You get there's a part of me in my mind that says, well, they're going to get it together before it's too late for them, so to speak, and come roaring back because they do have a lot of talent on that team. Um, they're having to weather a lot of adversity right now, and if they can do so, there's a good chance that they're going to come out the other side, really gaining some momentum.
Yeah.
Um, but it could be a deal where it's too little, too late. You know, so for Falcons fans, that's what you're hoping for, right? Is that by
Yeah.
the time these other teams do finally get their footing and start making headway, that we have widened the gap so much that there really ain't no catching it because
Yeah.
the Bengals game was the last like major obstacle in our way. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to steamroll the next 9 games or
Right.
yeah, 9 games. Uh, but they are like the next 9 games outside of maybe the Tampa Bay game and the Baltimore game. There's some pretty winnable games in there, even
Yeah.
starting this week,
Yeah.
so, but what has really stood out to me thus far and something you brought up on the live show is the culture that's being built.
Yeah.
The here in the fans themselves are excited. Mercedes-Benz is rocking again, not just with
Yeah.
fans of other teams. And something I said on the show, and even though it kind of pains me to say it, I think the majority of the fans were ready for something new and ready for
Yeah.
something different. Um, there you had the same formula for 15 years.
Hmm.
And in this day and age, most people don't even stay on their jobs past like 5 years. So
Yep.
you're talking about three careers worth of the same type of formula that wasn't necessarily producing you Super Bowl wins or anything like that. So I think fans are just excited to see a different brand of football, and albeit it's not a flashy brand of football,
Yeah.
which we'll get into that here in a minute. But it is definitely a hard nosed brand of football.
Hell yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I'll tell you what, man. That 30-yard run by Marcus Mariota to help put us in position to win that game against the Carolina Panthers, to me, was the excitement of the Atlanta Falcons fans' future and where we could possibly go. It showed me that the tides are definitely turning. And I mentioned this on the live show. The tides are definitely turning in Atlanta when we are 3-1 at home and should be 4-0, arguably, if we
Right.
beat the Saints week 4. Um, so great job, Arthur Smith, taking them down there. 3 practices they had down there, inviting the fans to come in and participate, to get them to realize how important it is to win at home again, reestablishing that culture of winning at
Right.
home like we used to have when Mike Smith was here, man. So I'm excited about that.
No, you're 100% right as far as like reestablishing that it's our house.
Yeah,
The Georgia Dome definitely felt like you had to defend the dome and all that other stuff, and you haven't necessarily been able to develop that, at
yeah,
Mercedes Benz, but I think you're starting to get that, and you're starting to get it on the back of some major balance to this
yeah,
offense. Someone's going to throw this up on screen now. It's something that you sent me, talking about like our first down production, which is such an important, concept, such an important thing to stay ahead of the chains,
yeah,
and, you know, the one game that you weren't really able to stay ahead of the chains, which was the, Bengals game, you really saw what
yeah,
happened.
yeah,
You were in a lot of third and sevens and stuff like that, and that's not where we want to live. And Arthur Smith has done a very good job of, you know, garnering like first downs.
yes.
And doing it with, like I said, a surprising amount of balance, 70 rushing first downs to 71 passing first downs.
Yeah, yeah. You talking about keeping defenses on their toes when they have to prepare for whichever way you decide to go on first downs. And I know we saw that stat on Sunday, 30th in passing yards, passing attempts, and second in the league in rushing attempts. But that actually is skewed based on looking at the most important down in my eyes, right here where we're looking at, man. And there is some serious balance there, JR, that causing some friction with these defenses when they're preparing for us week in and week out.
Right. It was something that we're talking about at practice the other day, which was tendency breakers. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, Arthur Smith is going at a different approach. He's not going with tendency breakers. Like he's basically not setting up a tendency at all.
right.
When you stay balanced in
Yep,
your first down production, whether it's pass, whether it's run, when you stay balanced in what you're calling there, you're not building any tendency
yeah.
for the defense to key in on.
Mm-hmm.
And like Arthur Smith's offense really seems like an offense that's built off of, misdirection, built off of balance, and built off of, keeping the defense guessing. And that was a
Yep.
perfect stat to show, the um, the guessing that he is, keeping the defenses in.
Well, you saw that against Carolina Panthers. For most of that game, their defense was trying to figure out what we were doing, and they really couldn't get a beat on everything we were doing in that game. And you could tell. And that's why the scores just started going up and up and up because
Hmm.
eventually we broke the dam
Right.
and we were able to flood them with unpredictability where they couldn't figure out what everything we had going on. I mean, there was time when Brian Burns was down, breathing down the back of Mariota, but Mariota kept evading them and getting big chunks of yards, whether it was passing or rushing the football away from him, that it was really hurting Brian Burns.
Yeah, that was a deal where like they finally like put it all together
Yeah.
offensively, and you saw in the explosion of points there, which was they were finally able to get the what I was calling for the week before, the pass in the RPO.
Yes. Yep.
So they Marcus had been running all, like the read part, and booting out of it and running
Yep.
or what have you, but they were finally able to really like attack the second level or attack that mid part of the field,
Yes.
which they hadn't been doing. And I hope that that was a just like with the Kyle Pitts deal, like
Right.
when Mariota finally like you saw it, he threw finally threw him a touchdown a couple weeks back, 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
The next week looks for him again in the end zone. They didn't
Yep.
connect, but last week looks for him again in the end zone,
Yep.
and they do connect, right?
Yep.
For Pitts' second touchdown. So that's what I was hoping for. Like once he found Pitts, it became oh, okay, good. All right. Yeah, this is, eye opening. This guy can, I can actually put some trust in this guy, even
Yeah.
though you should have been doing that anyway, but that's another debate. But now that he's starting to have some success in the, passing part of the RPO game, I
Mm-hmm.
really hope that that is something that explodes for the rest of the season because
Yes, Lord.
you're right. No, but it's like we chuckle about it, but it's the
Yeah.
truth. Like I really hope that this is like the start of something. But in that aspect, what I don't want to lose is what they did here, which is
Whew.
the run game, right? It's
Yes.
so integral. Like we always talk about the Falcons making the wrong kind of history. Well,
Mm-hmm.
this is the right kind of history. For the first time ever in the history of the NFL, they
Yeah.
have four players with 250 plus yards rushing through the first 8 games. Four. So that's crazy. And one of the guys ain't played in 4 games.
Right.
Like, you got, Cordell Patterson, who's up over 300 yards. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Let's see here. Hold on.
Get it big. Get it big.
There we go.
Let's
Okay.
go.
There.
Yeah.
So you got Cordell Patterson with 340 yards, and he ain't played in 4 games.
Wow.
Then you got Tyler Algier with 324, Mariota with 280, and Huntley with 265.
Mm.
Like, and all of them got touchdowns. Mariota with 3 of them.
Good Lord.
Right.
Woo!
Like that's something to like to really hang your hat on there.
Yeah.
That's something to build on. And again, keep in mind, folks, two of the guys, especially the two guys who are pictured here, one of them's undrafted and one of them's a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're doing this with Saquon Barkley and Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah. Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So that's something to
Yeah.
keep in mind. That makes me really feel like that's uh a like with Shanahan's, how they will always be able to make 1,000-yard rusher out of anybody.
Right.
You know, that makes me feel like that's a possibility with Smith in his game.
Man.
That just give him a hard nosed runner and he can go to work. Really makes me think about Mike Davis last year. If Mike Davis would have just went forward
Yeah.
instead of dancing like he did in the backfield, like I ain't trying to like throw shade at him, but I'm just saying like what could have been. But I'm
Man,
really pleased with the balanced rushing attack.
I hope we get Cordell back Saturday. The announcement is supposed to be made. And usually when Arthur Smith has said that with guys, they usually have made the announcement that those guys will play. I.e. Drake London, when we wasn't sure if he was gonna play the first game of the season, they said they made the decision on Saturday. The decision was yes, and he came out and had a pretty decent game against New Orleans Saints, his first game as a rookie. So I'm really hoping that Cordell is able to go, man. But we got another stat you got to show up there talking about that first down success, because I know a lot of fans get up in arms when we talk about the lack of passing attempts, but when he is passing, it's been efficient.
Right. That's the thing is like the Falcons rank first in NFL first down pass and DVOA.
Yeah,
Now DVOA is a Football Outsider stat that, um, to be honest with you, it's hard for me to like really like explain. Okay, but it's like it's a defensive value over average or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. That's
But
right.
uh, anyway, so when they are passing on first down, they're doing it with an extremely high efficiency rate.
Yes,
Like that's
yes.
and the other side of that, the Chargers defense allows 31.7 percent on first down passes.
Oh Lord, let's drive them crazy. Let's go crazy.
Right.
Woo!
But now what worries me about that type of situation is almost like the Chargers situation. You're coming
Mm-hmm.
off a game where they gave up
Oh,
250 something yards.
oh, the Bengals. Yeah, the
The Bengals,
Bengals.
that's what I
Yeah,
meant.
yeah,
Yeah. You come off of a game where they gave up 250 something yards and we felt good
mm-hmm.
about being able to run on them.
Yeah,
And, but this is an average over the entire season.
right.
So it's not like they just had a bad game of it. So
Mm-hmm.
this has been a tendency of the Chargers.
Right.
I was listening to some of our buddies on the Around the Block guys. I was listening to them the other day. They had a Chargers beat guy on, talking, and he was talking about, with Bosa being out, that he really feels like the outside edges are weak. Like
Mm-hmm.
they still have Khalil Mack, but what he was saying, like you just running at the guy that isn't Khalil Mack.
Yep.
So I'm wondering if that's something that they're going to try to exploit with the outside run with Algier, which is like his bread and butter, really.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm truly excited to see how this team reincorporates Cordell Patterson, whether
Yeah.
it's this week or whether it's next week. I am truly interested to see how they reincorporate him in what has become a hard nosed running offense.
Yes, sir.
Like, do you let him be, you know, CP84 Flash? Like, do you let him be the quick explosive guy? But because even with his explosiveness, he still runs with a good bit of power.
Yes, he does.
He ain't afraid to get behind his pads and run some and truck somebody over.
Yep.
So I wonder if it's a deal where they start trying to use him more on like little tosses or swing passes or something like that, trying to get him out in space and let the young guys, Algier and Huntley, take the abuse, so to speak.
I mean, it is possible they can do it, but JR, going back to your saying about what you talking about with how the Bengals, kind of narrowed that gap and stopping it. Now we ran for over 100 yards, but we needed Marcus to do it.
Right,
But something has to give with the Chargers because if they're bad on in passing on first downs, and they gave up a whole lot of yards against the Seattle Seahawks before they went on their bye week. Yes, they did go on a bye week, so that means they got a little bit more time to self scout and see
right,
what they need to fix. But I don't think they're gonna be able to fix both things coming into this game, JR. Something has got to give, and I
right.
can't wait to find out what it is.
Yeah, I just hope that, like I said, my biggest thing right now is that I'm really hoping that last week's game was an indicator to the next 8 9 games,
Yeah.
as far as the coaching staff regaining some confidence in Mariota's passing, and Mariota gaining confidence in his own passing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think, I mean, you cannot convince me otherwise that in that Browns game that there wasn't a small amount of demotion that went on.
Oh, of course.
You know what I'm saying? When Smith
Yeah.
pulled that deal of we're gonna run the P out of it,
Mm-hmm.
and ran it 10 straight times and got a touchdown, and you end up winning the game by only completing 7 passes,
Mm-hmm.
and then you went on the next 2 games to only allow your quarterback to attempt 14 passes each game.
Yeah.
Now, I think he got snapped back to reality in that Bengals game, like dealing with a quick strike offense without your best, corners out there.
Yeah.
I think really changed the game plan of how you were going to have to attack the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
Because you
Yep.
couldn't continuously be in third and long, not with Brian Burns, not with Derek Brown.
No.
Our O line is playing decent as a whole, but they're still lacking greatly in pass protection.
Yep.
So, to allow him to be able to keep the defense honest with the runs and the pass, I think that's what a coach wants to live in.
Well, let's just hope that he can continue that, and Marcus gets favorable situations where he's not making a lot of mistakes in his game. I mean, there's some guys that have come on now, like Demir Bird, that's totally just taken over Cordero Hodges' spot as
Right,
far as in the passing game right now. So, we'll see if that continues because he's been very explosive. But we do have some guys that are out. AJ Terrell won't be in this game again for the Chargers, and you won't have Elijah Wilkinson. And
right.
I'm hoping it ain't Matt Hennessy that's at left guard, but you know,
Everybody's talking about like him taking reps, but I wonder how much of that is, uh, if it's Cody Gossett that they wanted to make sure that they had a, you know, suitable backup, in a sense.
mm,
But I'll be interested to see because, to my understanding, Hennessy was taking first team reps.
mm,
So
yeah,
I don't know what that. Last time we saw Hennessy at guard, good things didn't happen. That was his rookie season, but still, I'd much rather, Hennessy just be on the bench at this point. I mean, because Gossett played pretty good in the Seattle game when he had to
he
step in there.
did, he did, yeah,
So I'm not 100% sure, unless it's just we need to make sure we have a good look at. We know what Gossett gives us, and we need to have a good look at another option just in case things go south. Like I'm hoping that
yeah.
that's what that was.
Yeah, I just hope it's not a indication that Elijah may have to take the rest of the season off. I do pray for his situation, whatever he's dealing with right now.
I said
I
it was
know
a
they said
knee.
something
I
about a
think.
knee
Yeah,
injury
yeah,
as well, but he's also been going dealing with some personal issues behind
right.
the scenes too. So I just hope that it's not anything where Elijah is out because he's been solid for us at the LG spot. So
He has
I'm
been,
hoping it's not, but it is
and
what it is.
that's like we talk about what we see of this team going forward. Next year we roll into the off season with a whole bunch of money, and we're gonna have a whole bunch of time to talk about
Hmm.
the off season, obviously with the draft and stuff. But I really see the trenches being a main focus.
Yeah.
You know, you got your guy in Grady. Obviously, I think they feel like they've got their guy in Taquan Graham.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't surprise me one bit if they have a chance to upgrade like a Deron Payne or something like that, that they don't pull the trigger. And the same deal
Hmm.
on the other side of the ball. Like that
Yeah.
left guard spot, if Wilkerson is going to be up and down with availability throughout the rest of the season, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if you either put in a high draft pick there
Yeah.
and try to get you a left guard version of Chris Lindstrom, who is putting up the best numbers of guards in the NFL
Yeah.
right now. He's playing at a Pro Bowl level, because I still feel like you're going to have to either upgrade left guard, draft left guard, sign left guard. So upgrade one way or the other, and then
Yeah.
also potentially upgrade on the right tackle spot. Unless they just feel good about how much they're running, and McGarry has looked much better uh, in run blocking than he has pass blocking. So if this is the style of offense that you're going to continue to run, and I see no reason why they're going to change it, they may feel pretty good about giving McGarry a below average right tackle contract and roll with it for another year or so.
Maybe so, man. All I know is, Jr. I feel good about the direction that we're headed in. Despite what happens the rest of the year, I'm so excited to see the money that we get, what we're gonna do with it, and how we're going to continue to build this team to get us to a place where we're winning more consistently than not. Because you and I know since we started this thing, we came in the Super Bowl era, and things went downhill with us after that 2017 season. And man, it's been a long time since the fans have been excited since
Right.
and you and I have done it in 4 years of the dead period that we've had with the losing. And they're excited, and I'm excited for the fans because of it.
Yeah. This like last week's show, or this past Tuesday's show, was something that we hadn't felt in a while, which was a fair amount of
Yeah.
excitement from the fans, from the chat. Um, it's been a minute since I hadn't been able to keep up with the chat during the regular season. Now,
Hmm.
off season, fans get excited around draft time, free agency time, stuff like that. But to see this level of excitement midway through the season, like you said, we haven't seen that in since 2017 or better.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's hard to believe that me and you've been doing this, together for freaking 6 years now.
Yeah.
So that's crazy in and of itself, and the fact that people are still hanging with us
Yeah,
after
man.
6 years is also, awesome and humbling at the same time. But to finally have an exciting product to talk about
Yeah.
has been one of the better parts. Even if you know don't know how the season's going to end, obviously. But the fact that it has been a fun ride up to this point, and the fact that it has been an entertaining amount of football that we have been able to watch, that's all we really asked for.
Yeah.
And we have definitely gotten that. There have been some highs already in this season, and there have been some lows. But it's definitely one thing has made for some really good conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we thank all y'all, who support us in super chat, who support us with the views and the likes and the shares, who interact with us on Twitter and stuff. Like, we make the statement all the time, but it is definitely the truth. Y'all are the reason why we do this.
Yeah.
Like, if it wasn't for y'all, I'd just call Toby on the phone and we'd just talk. you
Yeah.
know, I
Hmm.
don't have to point a camera at me and hit record, but me and you could just have a conversation as we have done plenty of times before.
Yeah.
So yeah, just wanted to take a minute and kind of recap the 6 years that we've been doing this, the fun that we've had, and just the awesomeness that y'all have been on the way, or
Yeah.
along the way rather. Well, my God, I think that's all I got. As you like to say, I've emptied out the bucket.
Emptied it out.
Time to get the little ticker on the bottom. Scrolling. There it is.
There it is.
As always, folks, y'all can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Grim1128. That's GRIMM1128. Toby?
Toby D 1991.
As always, keep an eye on the channel. Like, we're always trying different things, whether it's shorts, whether it's, uh, I've gotten some requests for the, truck thoughts to come back. So that may do that. Um, but also, like, we're trying things on Instagram and TikTok and all that other jazz. So just, keep your eye out. We're always trying to give y'all something that y'all might like. But as always, man, just keep an eye on the channel because we appreciate y'all and let's rise up.